Okay, today's video is a follow along for the Straddle Pancake. I'm also going to include some middle split work because I like to pair those two movements up. But I'm going to show some easier and some harder options as we go. But make sure you listen to your body obviously, and if anything hurts, pull out before it's too late. Okay, let's just jump in and measure where we're at first. So cold measurements just to see where you are in the Straddle Pancake. So forehead to the floor. Even if you sit like this, just get that initial picture like that. Don't worry about raising the hips up for the assessment picture. So there, you can see if you can get something down to the floor, whether it's elbow to fist, head to fists, forehead to floor, nose to floor, chin to floor, chest to floor, belly button to floor. So middle splits measuring two different positions. So open hip, so as wide as I can go with the feet when I'm still upright, so without any leaning forwards. So upright position like this, no leaning forwards at the hip. So my open one there is about that position. So that's where things are starting to get tight. Closed hip position, you can see I can get quite a bit deeper. So probably around there. So first movement I like to do is the Cossack squat. So I'm going to use that from a mobility point of view. So it's keeping one leg straight and bending the other leg. So standard squat position on this right leg, keeping this leg dead straight. Trying to keep as upright as I can. Come back up, same on the other side. Okay, once I've opened those up with a few reps, I'm going to start to do the same thing, but try and transition from that lower position. So I'll come down, transition a little bit deeper, all the way across. And try and find where I can go there. Now you can get a little bit of a rotational movement that sort of forces the hip as well. Okay, next one is the Jefferson Curl. And this one's about articulation. So to start, we're going to take chin to chest, round through the upper back. I'm keeping my knees a bit soft, through the mid back, through the low back. Now when I get here, so mid shin, I'm going to lock the knees backwards, and then I'm going to continue with that movement as deep as I can. Now I can bottom out this barbell. So one option you have, and another way of like nicely tying the lats into it as well, is to hold the bar in the crease of your elbows. And then do the same thing, but reaching with the elbows towards the floor. Now you'll find this really winds at the calf. Then I'm going to bend the knees, round through the spine, come back up again. So I recommend you do 3 to 5 repetitions there with a hold at the bottom. Now because I'm comfortable there and I've done it quite a bit, I am doing a little bit of a bounce at the bottom as well. And this is about 15 kilos. Obviously just go where you feel comfortable, don't go too heavy. I wouldn't go higher than a 20 kilo personally for myself. Now I'm going to go back into the straddle pancake position. I'm going to do a block push. So I'm just going to use something to push away from me. It can be anything. So I'm going to use a Rubik's Cube because why not? Now if you are tighter in the straddle pancake position, I'd recommend that you use a mat or some cushions or even a high box. You want to feel like you can sit into the position and lean forwards with a flat back. So if you look like this, we need to raise the bar up higher. But if you do have the flexibility, go without the mat. So I'm just going to put the block down in front of me, and then all I'm going to do is push it as far as I can and then come back up again. So I'm not walking the hands backwards, I'm not walking the hands down, I'm not touching the floor, I'm only touching the block. So I have to do all the work with the hips. Pushing as far as I can, come back up again. So about 4 or 5 reps there. Okay, now I'm going to do a 10-second hold on the last one with fingertips on the block, constantly trying to push it out as far as I can. Okay, now we're going to our middle split hold, so I'm just going to go back to those two positions again. So open hip and closed hip. I'm going to do a 30-second hold as wide as I can with the open hip. Now you can make this harder and hold a weight if you want to. So 30 seconds in the open hip position. Try and go down as deep as you can. So really trying to keep that posterior tilt, hips facing forwards. You might have a slight anterior tilt, so more of a neutral position, but basically you're just stopping yourself from really arching into the low back. Okay, that's 30 seconds. Now I'm going to do the same thing so with closed hip. So I'm going to allow the hip to close. I'm still trying to stay quite forwards. I'm not trying to drop back towards a pancake, but let's go as deep as I can there. So again, 30 seconds. So obviously hands down on the floor. If you're not so flexible, you could put hands on the box. Okay, now I'm going to transition to back to open hip, but trying to stay down in this position. So trying to push that hip forwards as hard as I can. For about 10-15 seconds, but this is quite uncomfortable there. Okay, slowly come back out. And you'll probably need to walk that one off. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the straddle position again, but this time I'm going to use a weight. And obviously raise the hips back up if you need to. Now if you're not used to using a weight in this position, I recommend use maybe a 10, 15, 20 kilo bumper plate and have it in front of you and let it tip you this way, just so you can feel it pull in that direction and not go too crazy to start with. But if you are more confident, have the plate up on your back, so not on your head. You can be a little bit on your head, but mainly on the upper back, and try and reach the elbows forwards as you come down and then back up again. So obviously if you can without the mat, go without the mat. So really reach with those elbows. Keep reaching on the way back up, so 10 reps of these. Okay, last one, I'm going to put a 10-second hold. Nice. So I was using a 5k plate. If I was in the gym and I had one, I'd use a 10-15 kilo plate with that one. Okay, back to the middle splits again, exactly the same thing. Now this floor is quite slippery, so my feet are happy to move. I wouldn't do this with shoes on. I'd even go to the point of putting socks on if you're comfortable with this, so you can slide out. Obviously you'd have to be careful that you don't slide too fast for your condition. So obviously if your hips are really, really conditioned and you've done lots of history there, you'll know how hard to push it. I'm going to hold the weight this time. So 30 seconds, open hip position. Okay, closed hip position, hands go off the floor now onto a box. Okay, now trying to open the hip as much as you can in that closed hip position. Try and get the torso upright. and tight. Ooh, slowly come back out. Just shake the hips out after that one. Okay, then we're going to go into a pigeon variation, so whichever one you prefer. So I got this one from the Bodyweight Warrior, so doing that twisted one. So I'm going to start in a piked position. I'm going to take one foot over the top, pull it up as high as I can towards the hip, close that bottom leg. I'm going to take my left shoulder to my left knee, my right shoulder to my right ankle, and pull the leg in towards me. Now I recommend you do quite a long hold here. For the video, I'm only going to do like a 10-second hold. Okay, now I'm going to keep my legs as they are. I'm going to put my hands behind me. And I'm going to go to this position. I'm going to take the butt towards the heel and the heel towards the butt. So there, trying to get the chest towards the shin. I'm going to grab hold of the crease, I'm going to grab hold of the arch of the foot with the crease of the elbow. I'm going to let that leg go, and I'm going to push this knee away and pull this hip. Just make sure you are feeling this one in the hip and not the knee or the ankle. Keep that foot flexed. Okay, same thing on the other side. So I'm going to take my right leg over my left, pull it up as high as I can, bend that bottom leg, then take the right shoulder to the right knee and the left shoulder to the right ankle. Pull in as close as I can, again 10 seconds, but if you got longer, do longer. Okay, and then I'm going to put my hands behind me, keep my legs where they are. This side's much tighter for me. Covered in dog hair now. So try and take that chest to the shin. Okay, release the foot, try and grab hold of the arch of the foot with the crease of the elbow. Blame Rosie for this here. Okay, push the knee away and pull the foot back towards me again. Should only feel that in the hip. Keeping that foot flexed. Okay, then I'm going to go back into my retest now. So back into my straddle position, I'm going to pull my butt cheeks out of the way, try and get onto my sit bones. And then I'm just going to try and get as deep as I can in my pancake position. So for me, I know when I'm fully warmed up, I can get belly, chest, chin, all down onto the floor. Few reps of active position now, so I'm just going to do straddle circles, so out to the outside. Ideally have your palms flat on the floor, but if you need to, you can go fingertips. You could go single leg as well, but try double leg. Big circles to the outside. So let's just do 5, but you could do 10 if you're feeling nasty. Once you've done 5 in the opposite direction. Nice, then 5 up and down. Try not to lean backwards, it's really hard. Okay, back to that final pancake position. So do the retest, whatever level you're at, take the picture before and after. Try see if you can get an elbow down, 2 elbows. Head to fists, head to the floor, nose to the floor, chin to the floor, chest to the floor, belly button to the floor. And you can obviously repeat that process. So let's just do the final middle split position just to see how that is. So we have the open hip position, so as wide as you can go, open hip. Then as wide as you can go, closed hip. Then try and open the hip as much as you can there. And then what I like to do is play around with both of those things. Now obviously it depends where your hips are at, so don't be too crazy with them, but to try and go between the middle split position and your pancake. So if my middle splits is somewhere there, then I'm going to drop into pancake position, just trying to have my feet as wide as possible when I'm there. And that's where you can start to work towards that swim through when you're in that pancake position. So here and then sliding round. There. Now obviously with that circuit you can change things around as needed, and you can obviously repeat individual exercises as much as you want, or you could repeat the whole circuit and do it 2 to 3 times. Now I'm doing the handstand push-up Q&A very soon, so make sure you put any questions down in the comments section of the community post I've put up, or you can stick it down in the comments on this one, or message me direct. And if you'd like me to include any of your videos in the critiques that I'm going to do, then just send me a DM either on Instagram with the video itself or a link to the video. And make sure you let me know down in the comments if you have any feedback, questions, or requests for any future videos. Normal deal, thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks guys.